What up?
Good morning. We're making a habit of this.
Well, I don't want to make a habit of this. What time did you go to bed last night?
Oh, it's probably 10:30.
Man, I got in bed at 1 o'clock.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, that's what I told Marcy when I was getting in bed last night, because she had fallen asleep on the couch, and I got into bed, and I said, I should have just bit the bullet and recorded last night. But I didn't get in from pretty late because I started some more pumpkin seed at the store and had to spray a bunch of stuff, so I was just going and spraying. I was like, man, that's just gonna be pushing it too late tonight. Yeah, when I got in bed at 1, I was like, I won't be hurting.
Were you working until midnight or?
No. Well, I had to edit the other show that I do, so I was editing it, and then I just got caught up watching a movie. I watched Raw Deal. Have you ever seen this?
No.
It's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It's like one of his flops or something, but I had never seen it, so I was watching it, and yeah, so it's really just a bad what would you call it? I don't know, poor judgment or poor choice of decisions on my part.
Yeah. It was going to be tough. Yeah, my chair finally sunk.
Well, I got mine down, so it's not too bad.
Well, this will be the last week that, for a little while anyway, that baseball really interferes with me. We will be done with our tournament tonight or tomorrow, just depending on when we lose again.
So the morning here make it easier for you?
It may have just a little bit, because you had texted me 9:30, and I was like, wow, usually we try like 8:45 or 9, but I was like, well, that might actually work better, and it ended up, I don't know that it might have been 9:45 where I could have gotten here, because my or no, it was probably later than that, because my daughter, like usual, wasn't at home, and because we were at baseball game for my son, my daughter was at softball, my wife had to go get her, then one of her friends was going to come over and spend the night, and so I was like, oh wow, like, but at this point you had already said let's do it in the morning, and I was like, well, it's probably best, because
I should have said 10 o'clock. I'd have been ready. And that's what, when I was getting in bed last night, I think I got in bed at like 12:45, and I said I ought to text him and tell him to come record.
Yeah.
I said I'd rather record then. Phew, man. Yeah.
Well, and then I got to, like, I guess maybe most dumb people last night, I was like, oh yeah, the debate's on.
Oh man.
So I turned it on for a minute, and I mean, it was pretty much what I expected. Like, Trump was actually, and I think that for me, because I got to where I was like, all right, I'm getting more out of following online, like on X.
Yeah.
Because people reacted in real time, like they're sharing the good clips anyway, than I was from watching it. Because Biden was basically, it was either, at least over half of what he would say was either him not really putting a sentence together properly, and like, you're like, I could understand the words, but I'm not even sure what he just said.
There was a bunch of that.
It's just incoherent, rambling, or it was like, I don't even, like, I need to put it on closed caption to see what the closed caption guy's doing, because
good Lord,
it's going to be just random letters and it was, and I think for most people, they're like, you know what, it was about what I expected of Biden. And some of them were like, my expectations were low, but damn, was he bad. I was like, I don't know, I guess mine were just really low to begin with, because I was like, yeah, and I came away from it like, I don't know how anyone can vote for that guy. I mean, I don't even care what his politics are. You take that completely out of the occasion. Like, I wouldn't want him, leading.
He didn't need to be even driving a car.
Like, I mean, deciding what we're going to do for a family dinner. You'd be like, no, he Aunt Jane or somebody, you're like, y'all are going to have to take over planning this. Uncle Joe is just, no, he doesn't have it all together there.
Yeah. His elevator ain't quite going to the top. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure we can talk more about that later. Do need to mention our friends over at agzaga.com.
Yep. Go over there. Get yourself, I've got to say, one thing I would like to change on your commodity jug, it's hard when you got it first full. If you got to put gas in something, I almost wish.
You have the flex hose on it?
Yeah. Well, it's like a, I guess, well, it is a flex hose, but it'll kink.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then, man, me and Derek actually were putting some gas in the my water trailer. It took like both of us, and it was just pouring gas out everywhere. We were making a hell of a mess.
Well, it's real easy, and you're see. Somebody from EPA is listening right now. They're like, "It's why you got the damn spouts on the government jugs." But no, I still swear you'll spill a lot more gas using those goofy ass government spouts. But you can put different modified. Like it's pretty easy to like if you put a different type of tubing or whatever
on the like the filler hose.
Yeah.
I wish it. Does yours have like a hard plastic kind of that you can like? What's the traditional gas kind, or does yours have?
No, mine's more like a rubber hose.
Okay, that's how mine is, yeah.
It's got a little plastic end on it, a little cap.
I've thought about, I wish I could get like what the gas cans used to have, like the flex hoses.
Yeah, where it won't kink.
Yeah. If it had that, that would truly be the perfect thing.
See, and I think that might be part of the reason they can't do that because that's why I call them commodity jugs because they're not necessarily for gasoline.
I still really like them.
They'd be probably illegal if they were like these are gas jugs.
Yeah,
the government would be like, no, you can't have that.
Once I get it down about 3/4 full or less, I really like it because then I can kind of handle it. But man, when the thing's full, it's a lot of gas. 5 gallons of gas.
Yeah. Which I like that because of course, unlike you, we go to our buddy Johnny. He got his hat on. And I get our non-ethanol fuel to put on our small engine stuff.
Yep.
But I don't, and I do drive by his place like 4 times every day. But, I don't want to have to go up there every weekend to get gas for my lawnmower and everything.
Johnny and Heather, we like seeing y'all, but yeah, we don't have to stop that.
Oh, well, I just rather take, I think it is always funny because I think I have 5 gallon jugs. So, you take just a few little gallons of gas. It's with gas price where they are, it's like nearly $100.
Yeah.
I was like, I got $100 worth of lawnmower fuel basically. This is wild.
That's how I keep my commodity jug on my service truck and just roll around with it. And I try to keep it full because, man, I used to not. I had a little bitty with the stupid push-in nozzle on there, and then it never would fail. I'd be somewhere, I'd run out of gas, and I would not have gas in there. So. But yeah, go to exaga.com.
Yeah, the commodity jugs, just one of the things. I was on their website yesterday. The sprayers are probably a hot one right now. The ag spray sprayers, I've got one. Actually, I need to get the bed of my side-by-side cleaned out, get mine in there. I've been clipping some pastures and kind of taking mental notes where I've got some thistles. Yeah. I'm going to go back and hit those spots. But yeah, check them out. Use that discount code, Talk Dirt.
All caps, all one word.
That's right. So what you sipping on?
Oh man, just a little bourbon this morning. Decaf. Sipping on some decaf.
Dang, did you have an O'Doul's last night?
Dude,
when you were watching that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie with your O'Doul's.
O'Doul's, yep. I can't drink normal coffee. I got up at 4:45 this morning and went to the crapper. That's what slowed me down coming out here this morning. I went in there and I was like, Mother Nature kind of called. So I went in there, but for some reason, if I drink some full coffee after being awake for like 20 minutes, dude, I feel like shit. I'm like jacked up.
Maybe that's my problem. I don't know.
You drink it immediately?
I had my coffee maker set the night before.
I used to do that. Yeah.
And and like this morning actually, because I set the coffee maker for 4:30, and I got up at 4:30, and so it takes it. Just one that's got to heat it up first, and so I didn't have it just immediately, but within 15 minutes of me being awake, I was sipping on it.
Oh, dude, no, I'm like, I'll be like jacked up for half the day.
And I'll sip coffee until about 10:30 or 11 this morning.
Yeah, you and your dad will be coming by sometimes at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he'll have his coffee.
Hey, and I think I've mentioned this before, but the other night we were out in Omaha, we ate at a nice steakhouse, and
don't tell me you got a cup of coffee.
I got a cup of coffee at the end of the meal. I drank bourbon and coffee.
Dang, man. Well, did you mix them?
No, I never mixed them. But yeah, that little water. Those are the three things I drink.
That's a smorgasbord right
they
there.
always have really good coffee at those places.
Yeah.
And it was actually much later than I would normally eat dinner, but it was just hard to get in anywhere.
Where'd you go?
Well, actually, and this is, I feel kind of embarrassed. We tried to go to, I believe it was called the Drover, which is like, and apparently by the time we got there, it was confirmed, the best steakhouse in Omaha. Like I researched it online. We had an 8:30 reservation because that was as early as we could get.
Yeah.
We get there about 8:15, and man, it's like you couldn't get in the door. We're like, okay, we got a reservation. And some people were like, yeah, we do too. We've been here since 6.
Oh, Lord.
I was like, Of course, I had 2 kids with me, my wife and my mother. And so I was like, all right, we'll just stay out here. Kaylin, you go in and see if you can get to the hostess, and just see. You could not even get to where the hostess was. Or like she wouldn't even come back to her station. Somebody was like, yeah, it's been 25 minutes since we saw the hostess. People were like, oh, yeah, it's going to be a wait, but it's worth it. I was like, it's already, by this time it was probably 8:30. So I just was looking for somewhere nearby. We went to Fleming's, which Fleming's is a, fine steakhouse, but it's like, if I go to Omaha, I want to eat at an Omaha steakhouse, not at a chain like Fleming's. But it was late, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to complain about eating a big old prime ribeye at Fleming's.
Nah.
But that was why, we didn't get to actually eat at a local place. We should have gone earlier because the game on Sunday was over at like 5.
Yeah.
But that was just the earliest reservation, so we kind of tooled around, took a shower, I was like, yeah, we should have just gone straight there after the game, and we could have probably gotten seated by 8.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been some interesting stuff that's gone down here recently in the ag sector, I guess is what I'll say. And I actually, I'll let you go first on this Tractor Supply fiasco.
Well, and before we go there, because I don't want to get too far down the CTO thing.
Oh, yeah.
But just to kind of put a bow on that, because it was really early news.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even really sure who he was till we were sitting here recording. But our opinion, I think, was pretty widely shared.
It seems that way.
By at least the people within ag that are active on social media. Because I wouldn't, I don't want my opinion to be biased by others.
That are not sponsored by John Deere. Did you notice all the people that are like currently sponsored by John Deere were like, oh yeah, man, you'll do great.
There was one big influencer in particular that actually just saw something last night, because the CTO, which I do want to give him a fair chance, one of these big accounts like replied back. It was pretty kind of cheering him on. And I was like,
I'm sure it was a millennial farmer.
Yeah, there was actually a few others, but he was kind of cheering it on. I was like, yeah, well, he can't publicly say anything.
Yep.
But yeah, the people more kind of like us that just are, lower level social media guys on ag, or within ag, especially the 2 or 3 that like make memes and reels constantly, they were ripping Deere to shreds. Like, okay, so we weren't totally out of bounds when we said this was a really out of touch hire.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I saw some people, like some guys there is some guys I saw that have pretty big followings that commented and they were like, this is a swing and a miss. Like they weren't like brutal. Like there was some that were pretty savage, and it's like, and I'm kind of saying, I'm like, look, see what the dude does.
I feel bad for the guy, because it's like John Deere put him in the spot. But the little video he put out last night, and of course he's good at social media.
Yeah. Well, I saw somebody commented on one of the John Deere pages, and they were like, what is this even for? And John Deere responded, and they said that they wanted to grow their TikTok and all this. And so the title is misleading. That's what kind of frustrates me. I'm like, well, it needs to be something different besides cheat. Their main focus with this position is to grow their presence on TikTok.
And I mean, I guess they've obviously, because I'm not even on TikTok, they think there's real value in doing that.
Well,
that's going to help them sell tractors.
But why?
Going forward.
To that, like, that's what I don't understand. Why are they reaching out to, like, all right, reach a younger audience? It is what it is. But like, most companies want to do that, I guess. But when you're selling something that's, I mean, their small tractors are $90,000. So that's from like, why?
And I would say, they're just looking at it. Right, I see what you're saying, that the TikTok audience is not buying tractors typically, but they will be one day. I mean, eventually. I mean, it just naturally is.
But once they get to that point, they're gonna know who damn John Deere is.
Well, and unless it's just they're wanting to start off when they're, maybe even just teenagers.
Yeah.
Just planting that seed of we are which they already are. And I mean, I don't own a John Deere tractor. Do have the hay, but like yes, you think of tractors, you think of John Deere, and I guess they just want to be sure they're
maintaining that something.
Brand that's, transcends even agriculture. Like everybody knows what John Deere is. There's people living in high rises in Manhattan, like they know what John Deere is. Nobody out there doesn't know who John Deere is.
They're the Harley Davidson of tractors and stuff. Yeah. That's what I've always called them.
Like you can find people that you say Case IH and they're gonna, if they're not ag, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. The red guys right now are like, hey.
No, and I mean, or Kubota. I'm a Kubota guy, but like, if you went up to some random kid in an urban city and said, Kubota, who is that? They'd
like, is that a grizzly bear or what is that?
Yeah, I mean, but John Deere, people know what John Deere is.
Yeah.
But,
and I would, like I said, I just think I think it was somewhat of a swing and a miss.
Well, and I kind of got to thinking, like, you see all these companies, big brands, that, and a lot of them made a much bigger blunder than Deere, if you would even consider this a blunder. And I was like, why is it always the mega big company? And I'm sure some smaller level companies have, stepped in shit too and messed things up. But one, I guess those big ones have the most to lose, and so you notice it more with them. But like, I don't know. It's almost you got to recognize who your core audience is, and you need to remember where your bread gets buttered. Even if you are, like, I don't blame Deere for wanting to expand the brand even further.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Bud Light was the great example. Like, look, you're a blue collar, working man's beer. Like, you're not one of these craft beers they're sipping in Portland or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but like, you don't want to be that because that's a tiny little niche there.
Yeah. They just get out of touch.
But then, you hire this marketing team. It's all these young people straight out of school that are really liberal and woke, and they all of a sudden do an ad campaign with a tranny. It's like, well, I understand. Like, now we'll be in all the gay bars now. We'll be the official gay bar beer. That's great.
Yeah.
But I would dare say that the amount of market in that area, if you do that and then sacrifice all the blue collar beer drinkers that have been drinking your product for decades, it's gonna be a net negative for your brand. And Deere didn't quite go that far off, but and I doubt, the people that are irritated by it, I'm sure we're still a pretty small segment because we're, I mean, like your dad, for instance, does he have any idea?
No.
Yeah, and I mean, right. And so the age demographic that is really buying their stuff today, right now, has no idea that this has even happened. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. And I thought about this because, I had mentioned I had been looking at some tractors, and I'm probably just going to just stick it out with mine for now. But I looked at some red ones, and I talked to some guys about some red ones, but man, I had to go get parts for my sprayer. I had a cylinder that was leaking on my sprayer. It's a John Deere 4730. And I went to John Deere. Tennessee Tractor is our dealer here. I literally know everyone in there. And I got the cylinder. Well, it's got to have these two orifices that go into where the fittings go on. Otherwise, it will go like so fast when it folds up, it would probably tear stuff up. So it's like it restricts the flow. Well, I mean, they were working on my front end loader. Something was put on wrong on my front end loader on my little tractor yesterday, and they like gave those mechanics my orifices so that I didn't have to drive all the way back to Ripley to get them. And again, I know all the people there. Honestly, I know like two people that are at our local case dealer, and man, I mean, it's Ripley and Brownsville. Brownsville's our case dealer that I deal with, and Ripley is where my John Deere dealer is. And I'll be honest, it's both are not bad. Like, both are pretty easy drives, but Ripley is literally just straight down the highway.
Yeah, Ripley's about 30 minutes. Brownsville will be about 45.
Yeah, maybe a little longer to Ripley, but still, it's just literally a straight shot.
Yeah.
I know all the guys there. We've said it before on the show. Whatever you get is gonna tear up. So, like, dealer capabilities and all that is a big, big thing. So, I mean,
well, I found that out with my Kubota in a big way.
Yeah.
This past winter, I had a major job, and having somebody nearby, because like my tractor had to be towed in. Like, they come get it.
Well,
they bring it back to me, you know.
And that's what I'm saying, man. So realistically, I mean, I'm frustrated, and I think Deere HQ is getting out of touch, but like Tennessee Tractor and our dealers there, I don't think they're out of touch.
Well, this will kind of lead us into one of our.
Well, hold on, before we get moved into that, I also wanted to say, people are ragging on Deere because they've moved some of their stuff to Mexico, which does annoy me. But AGCO also is moving. Like, you can't, if you're gonna blast Deere and be like, man, Deere doing this, but you're like, I'm glad I drive a Case. It's like, okay, well, unfortunately, they're doing it too.
And John Deere's always made, like, some of their tractors made in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, certain sizes and whatnot. So
I think most of your row crop tractors, I know for the Cases, when you get to the higher horsepower most of your row crop tractors are made in USA, and I'm pretty sure Deere, most of your high horsepower row crop tractors are made in USA. Most of them are made in Illinois. And so, you know, like I said, I like Tennessee Tractor. So I like our dealer. So I ain't gonna be swapping out. I mean, I got a John Deere license plate on my pickup. I ain't gonna be pulling it off and
take too long to swap it out.
Yeah.
Well, that was what I was gonna say before we even talked about another specific company. It's always like the headquarters, the higher ups, the people that really, I mean, like for John Deere, I don't even know how many times a year they even touch a tractor.
Yeah.
That make these stupid ass decisions.
Yeah, they've probably never even farmed. I mean,
And a lot of times, like, right, they've hired some hot shot, you know, from the business world, and for probably good reason in many cases, but they come in there and they, you're not really specifically talking about Deere. They make stupid, like the Bud Light, like that gal that, you know, and I'm not talking about the training, but the gal that was like their marketing. Like, I look at her, I'm like, does she even drink Bud Light? Which they're probably like, well, we wanted to bring somebody. That was their whole thing. We want to bring in an outsider
perspective
so that we can broaden into those. Like, okay, that's fine, but you can't do that while also alienating the people that are already buying.
Yeah, like stuff. Probably 70% of your.
But yeah, they you know, Jack Daniels did it a few years ago to a smaller level where it was. Yeah, Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey. Well, their headquarters are in New York City. They're so out of touch with the people that are actually making their product.
Damn, their headquarters is in New York City.
I'm pretty sure. And
wow,
but they're out of touch, with not only the people that drink their product, but the people that actually work in their, you know, distilleries and whatnot, and bottle it and all that. And so, when they make these stupid decisions, it affects a lot of, more the blue collar workers down the line. But I guess kind of the latest example there was our old Tractor Supply.
I gotta tell you, I kind of enjoyed their response though.
Tractor Supply's response, I haven't even seen much response other than they turned off all commenting on their social media. Like,
you share kind of what went down, because I was reading last night what their reaction is, and I like it.
So going back, and it all started, and I wasn't even familiar with this guy, but he's named Robbie Starbuck.
Is he gay?
No, he's kind of a conservative, like, social media person.
Okay. So he doesn't work for Tractor
He's the one
Supply
that exposed them.
Gotcha.
Kind of. And I guess that's kind of his shtick and what he does. But he said it's time to expose Tractor Supply, one of the most beloved brands in America, blah, blah, blah. Especially, obviously, very conservative customer base.
Rural, yep.
And basically, he goes through some bullet points of things that their leadership had done. And it was LGBTQIA+, training for employees, funding of pride and drag events. They have a DEI council, funding sex changes, climate change activism, Pride Month decorations of the office, DEI hiring practices, and LGBTQIA plus events.
It's a lot of stuff you got to say there.
Well, that's why I think they finally just went with the plus. And so it's like, and I remember kind of seeing something. I was like, "What, Tractor Supply?" And sure enough, like he had the receipts, yeah. And which I'm gonna go back on something, and I kind of made a little meme about this not too long ago. DEI.
What even is that?
It's Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, buddy. Like DEI will always, the fact that the liberals have tried to hijack and sully the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated name by.
Well, they sullied WWF.
Yeah.
So they got a history of taking the acronyms.
So the new DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Well, that just sounds gay.
Well, and it's not even like, it's just making sure. Like, look, when you're a company and you have a company, I don't care. Like, yeah, hire diverse people, whatever. But
if they're the best for the job,
you don't hire them because they're diverse. Hire, especially at Tractor Supply, because god dang, I'm not a Tractor Supply fan way before this. So I was like, hell yeah, brother, burn it to the ground.
I use them a lot.
And they're not much better, and I don't want to shit on our local store, but our Stockdale's has the same struggle. Like,
yeah,
there's one, maybe two people in the store that know anything. Anything.
I think I shared my encounter with Stockdale, and I like Stockdale's, but I've
had equally bad issues at Tractor Supply where like nobody in there knows anything. Like if you walked in there and said, "Hey, I got a cow calf herd. We calve in the spring, wean in the fall. It's middle of June. I need a good mineral. We're on this kind of forage." The poor employees there would look at you like you were speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
And you ought to be able to go into a farm store and be able to get some good advice like that. I remember used to at our co-op, like growing up, there was always people there like that.
Oh yeah.
Because most of them had cows or whatever themselves. Like, oh yeah, or they'd be like, yeah, get over here, Ray. You know about this stuff. Tell them which one they need.
Yeah.
Now it's like, these people, like, you might get lucky and have one person in there, at least in our local stores. It's like, focus on hiring people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not just, hey, we need we already got a black guy and a white girl. Let's make sure our next hire is either Asian or Hispanic.
Yeah.
Because then we'll have checked that box. Like, you know what? I don't care if it's a guy, girl,
as long as
gay, straight, Muslim, whatever. Hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's capable of helping. When my mom shows up and's buying horse feed, can help her actually load it in her truck. Stuff like that. Not just checking boxes. But I think is the same thing. And I didn't read into it like super, super deep, but they hired, a CEO or whatever, or executive vice president, somebody that came in and they had a super liberal background. And I'm sure they really had maybe some decent ideas of how to run a large corporation. It's just, but no, and I'm also a big, and this is a little off subject, the fact they do those dog and cat vaccine clinics at them, it'll piss off any veterinarian.
Really?
Because they offer nothing of value. They're literally just a shop. Like, hell, you can go in there and buy the shots and give them yourself if you're wanting to save some money. Because then, and they'll do the basics, like a heartworm test. Well, then guess what? Your dog tests positive for heartworms. That's super common around here. They're going to tell you need to go find a real vet. And then you have to come to me and pay an office visit, which
when
by
you
then,
just done that
by then, if you had just come to me for the shots, you wouldn't have paid. You'd have gotten out cheaper anyway.
Yeah.
Because they don't know that they have a vet there that's just like makes it all above board, but they ain't going to help you with nothing. They're not examining your dog. They're not going to answer questions.
So just go to a real vet.
Go to a real vet, or if you're just looking to save money and just got to get that vaccine in your dog, just buy it and give it yourself. And that's taking money out of my pocket too. But there's no value in those clinics, and it's an asshole move by these. Because I refuse to shop there anymore than I have to. Which, to be fair, our Stockdale's does the same thing.
Well,
because they have the same little sign out front.
Yep.
Like, vaccine clinic here the third Saturday of the month.
Yep. Well, that's how our Stockdale's laughing with them. I had gone in there that time. I ran out of chemical. I was spraying, and everybody was closed. I literally needed like I needed like 5 gallons of Roundup. I was out of Roundup. And I could have called our Helena guys that I deal with, but I was like, man, there was a Stockdale's and a Tractor Supply, because I was in Covington. This was several years ago. And I'm like, we're this close. I'm sure one of these two places will have freaking 5 gallons. So I go to Stockdale's first, because between Stockdale's and Tractor Supply, I was like, oh, I'd rather support Stockdale's.
Yeah.
So
Stockdale's is tied into the co-op some way, form or fashion. So
I ran over to Stockdale's, and I remember I said, I just need some glyphosate. And they were like, all right. They told me the name of this stuff called Cornerstone. I don't even know if it's still called that, but it was called Cornerstone at the time. So I went and got 2 jugs. I don't even remember the price. Carry them up there, and I said, now this is only glyphosate, right? Because I'm not familiar with this stuff at all. I just know glyphosate. And I said, they were like, yeah, it's just like Roundup. And I said, well, I'm just making sure that there's nothing else in it, like additionally, because I'm going to be spraying this over the top of corn. I said, I'm spraying corn, and I just need 5 more gallons. And they were like, oh, no, you can't do that. And I said, so there's more in there? And they were like, oh, no, it's glyphosate, but that'll kill everything. And I said, well, it's Roundup Ready corn. And they go, oh, well, the girl, she goes, let me call our guy that'll know. And so I was like, all right. So she calls this dude, and she's on the phone with him, and she's explaining it. And I said, yeah, and I'm spraying this over the top. And the guy, I could hear him in the phone like, no. And she goes, he said that'll kill everything. And I said, well, tell him it's Roundup Ready corn, and ask if he thinks it'll be all right. And so then she says that, she goes, he said it's Roundup Ready corn. And this next statement, I was like, all right, I just left. Because she goes, he said that since it's Roundup Ready, you don't have to spray anything. You just plant it, and you're done. And it kills weeds because it's Roundup Ready. And I said, no, that's not how it works. I said, I'll just put this back. I appreciate it. I put it back, and I rode down to Tractor Supply, and they had some just Roundup Power Max 2 or something. I paid like $75 for a jug. It was so high as hell. But Stockdale's, then I'm like, wow. When they made the remark, they were like, oh, no, it's Roundup Ready and spray on it. I was like, whoa, this is not who I would ever ask anything about anything with. But so on the Tractor Supply note, I use them a good bit because it's convenient, and I've needed I had to buy a bunch of cattle panel for us to put up for the blackberries and all that, and I just run down there and get them.
I bought stuff like that, which unfortunately you see more and more of these, local, just kind of mom and pop type farm stores going out. And when last big fencing project I did, we still had one that was. And they still exist. They just don't sell any animal feed anymore. They sell more like garden supplies.
Yeah.
But I went to them, and they don't handle like a lot of fence stuff, but I figured they could get it. I was like, hey, I'm going to need all this. Can I get it from y'all? And they were like, man, we can, and we're happy to. But honestly, they get it so cheap, like through Tractor Supply, you can buy it from them for basically the same. I could turn around and sell it to you at my cost, and it would basically be what you can buy it from them for. And so there's I'm not even going to make any money on it.
Yeah.
So you might as well just go straight to them. I'm like, dang. And so I've gone to them for stuff like that. I was in there not too long ago because they, it was a situation. We went to Stockdale's. Which I'll cut our Stockdale's a little break. Our Stockdale's was wiped out in a tornado about a little over a year ago. And so they're in kind of a temporary setup. I went by there last night. It looks like they're finally doing some construction.
Yeah, they're going to be the whole building now.
That's a slow process. Like, man, that tornado was it March 30th or
something? Yeah.
And they're just now, they did a lot of cleanup there initially. It looks like they're just now.
Well, and seeing that, people did get on my nerves there. I saw this one chick was like blasting Covington because she's like, they haven't done nothing and all this yet. They're not even doing anything. And it's like they have been cleaning up. This thing literally decimated the city of Covington. And there are certain things in place, like to get the FEMA money, like the state has to come in and they have to and it's government. You're at the mercy of government. They move very slowly, and so they couldn't start.
Well,
doing
like a
certain
private
things.
business like that, I'm like, it's 15 months, and it looks like now they're finally really starting the rebuilding process.
Yep.
Oh God, like the schools and again, not to bore everybody.
Yeah.
So it wiped out 2 schools in Covington.
Yeah.
And again, this was about 15 months ago. It took them probably 8 or 9 months to finally go ahead and demolish the current buildings because they were deemed, unsafe. And I talked to a buddy, a firefighter. He's like, they need to go ahead and tear them down because it's like crackheads and everybody else is like
hanging out,
holding up in there, and like the building could collapse.
Yeah, they're going to tear it down with them in there.
Well, they're going to get sued if somebody dies. But it's like part of me, because I'm just like, these kids need schools. Let's start building them. And I understand, you need to plan and be like, hey. But it's like, good grief.
You're at the mercy of the government, man.
Like those poor kids that are going in those temporary schools, like some of those kids, I feel like are going to go through their entire school in those temporary schools. It'll be like, it's going to be 10 years before they're ready to, the new building ready to go. But anyway.
So you haven't seen Tractor Supply's response now?
I have not. A lot of what I saw was, of course, they cut off the comments on everything. Because I'm like, I just want to go see what people are saying back to them. I saw where they did, actually that same Starbucks dude, he, I guess just yesterday on X said that they replaced their DEI page with just simply a photo of their...
They have completely dropped all their progressive crap. Like this is where I'm like, okay, guys.
And I wonder, and I don't know, they may not be willing to do this, but they fire the woman that was like kind of in charge of all
I don't know. I know
Bud Light did axe that marketing gal and her team or whatever.
Yeah. But Bud Light annoyed me because they are still very involved in the liberal stuff. Tractor Supply literally is cutting everything. Like where they were donating to climate friendly stuff, they've axed that. And it also said that the DEI thing, they got rid of it. And apparently businesses submit their hiring and stuff to there's this board of like equality and inclusion kind of thing. And companies they said they will no longer be submitting to that board. So they've literally pulled out of all the liberal dumb shit. And they put out a statement being like, we realize who our customers are. They're very conservative, they're very rural, and they were like, that is our customer base, and we listen to them and want to like make them happy. They said, we know we've made people angry, upset people, so they were like, we're trying to make it right. And so that's where I'm like, all right, because I'm sure there's still some that are like, no, never go back. But they've
done plenty of reasons not to shop there. This is just the latest one.
Well, but I'm saying with Bud Light, see, Bud Light didn't really reverse course. They just canned that one person, but they're still super involved in all of the LGBT stuff, super involved with the pride, like all the stuff.
It's hard to avoid companies that are involved in all.
Yeah, but my thing with Tractor Supply, it's like, all right, they did this stupid thing. They got caught. They've completely changed course. So I'm like, we got what we want. They've changed course. I like them just because of, the convenience factor of, because there's places I could order fence and post and different things, but there's a Tractor Supply. It takes me 15 minutes to get to from my farm store, and so I've needed, like I said, fence and post and things like that, and I just run down the road and get it and come back.
Oh yeah.
And so I use them a lot. That's actually where I get most of my feed, too. But I did like their reaction. It should have never, obviously it should have never happened in the first place, because if you're honest with your company and your customer base, you should know these people probably don't want to support that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like Levi. What I'll tell you, I used to wear Levi's jeans, and I don't even remember the number now, but I loved those jeans. And then I saw one day that they were like, for every $1 you spent, percentage of that went to this anti-gun thing, like this huge anti-gun organization. And I was like, hell, man. And I remember when this has been a while ago, but I remember when I stopped wearing Levi's, I was telling somebody about it one time, and I was like, man, I had gone to Cinch or something at the time, and they were like, well, why don't you stop getting your Levi's? And I said, man, because they're donating to the anti-gun. And they were like, oh, what difference does it make? They're like, man, every company's liberal. What difference does it make? And that is like one of the most annoying mindsets to me, because it's like, dude, it'll make a difference if people like you would stop thinking like that. Like, yeah, let's stop supporting the companies that are like, if Levi's came out in reverse course at this point, I don't know, it'd be tough, because they've been super liberal for a long time.
And like thing with Tractor Supply, like obviously they've kind of made the right adjustment, but of course the cynical side of me is like, well, yeah, they just it's just because it's hitting their pocketbook. Because that's one thing he did share. They lost, I believe it was about $2 billion in market cap.
That quickly?
Because their stock was down about 9%.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, they're just, and hey, it worked. Like, and a lot of people say, well, yeah, it's good. We got them to abandon these values that don't align with their customer base.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. But like, do they really want to change, or is it just simply, I was like, oh shit, like, we're corporate greed. We're going to do whatever we need to do, which, I mean, that's the whole Pride Month thing to begin with. It's these companies that want to look woke, which I still am not sure. I'm just like, do more of your potential customers align with that, or do they more align with, we don't care if you're gay or not, we don't want it shoved down our throat?
I think most of them are that way. I think a lot of them just cater to the big, like say that board that they submit to, so they can be like, hey, look here what we're doing to be inclusive and support our progressive friends. Like, we're a progressive company. And
and I guess, because I don't know, we don't ever call them out by name, but a buddy of ours works for a big corporate ag company, and he always talks about, just how woke they've got. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense for them to, that's what I always, I'm like, why do they want to appear to be woke? Because they're like a company kind of in the background. Like, you don't go to the store and you are buying a lot of their products, but you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, y'all aren't even a company that could really be canceled easily. Like,
oh no, they're the freaking largest privately owned company in America.
What's the end game there? But of course, I guess one big thing, like a lot of these corporations looked at, I believe it's the ESG score, and like they're all into like, being prepared to do well there. And I'm like, oh my God, like let's just stop with all this nonsense. So I've never gotten the why some of these companies in the industry they're in. And a lot of them, it goes back to, you look at where their headquarters are, and it's usually in a big urban area. And of course, that means they've got a lot of people in their office that, maybe they have a background, in the actual industry, or maybe they've just always been a suit in an office somewhere.
Yep.
In a big urban area. And yeah, they're really great at crunching numbers and doing these other things, but they don't share any of the same values
as their actual customers.
Yeah, and with most of the people working for the company.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting times. It honestly didn't surprise me that much, like because you told me about the Tractor Supply thing, so then I Googled it and started looking at them, and it honestly didn't really even shock me. I was actually more surprised that they did such a hard U-turn and have like axed everything, like even the climate change stuff. Like, they got out of all of that stuff, and honestly, I was even surprised by that, because most companies today would be like, we're sorry, but they don't change anything. I mean, like I said, Bud Light is a prime example, because they got called out to the point, I mean, they literally were like damn near going broke. I don't know that they'll ever regain where they were.
The spot where they were.
Yeah. And and I don't know what Bud Light, they tried, like, they even teamed up with Kid Rock after, and Kid Rock was kind of one of the ones that set the thing rolling.
Yeah, Kid Rock and UFC were the two that came back on board with them.
Yep, and like I saw like, you know, they're sponsoring like Harley Davidson now. They're trying to get like basically masculine.
Go back to that blue collar crowd. Yeah.
Yep, but the way if Bud Light had been like, we're gonna axe all this stuff, because again, man, what percentage of I think that the LGBT, whatever they are, I think that they only make up like, it's a very small percentage of the population still. Like it seems, if you watch TV, you think it's 50%.
Like all the people that maybe aren't gay, but they really are hardcore, like Pride supporters, like I still think that's less than, I mean, that's not the majority.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like I think just stop catering to this. I saw before the debate, I saw an article, and it was said that the LGBT crowd is saying that they feel like they're not going to be recognized in this debate, and they wanted to be recognized.
Recognized as what? Like, I wasn't recognized as a straight dude. Like, nor did I expect any recognition. Like, I don't need recognition for my sexuality.
No, why
like,
not?
I don't wake up needing that every morning.
Yeah.
Like, what are you wanting to be?
That's what drives me crazy.
You need somebody to point out, like, he's gay, and it's okay. do you need people like to just do that multiple times a day?
I think that they
like,
do.
He's gay and it's cool. Like, no, like just
be gay. Do whatever you want to do.
Gay.
Good gosh.
You don't care.
I don't have to. I just don't. Like I said before, in my bio, if you go on my bio on Instagram, it doesn't say straight. You know, and that's where I'm like, why? Because I worked with a guy that had 2 gay sons, and he would even complain. He's like, I just don't know why it becomes their identity. He's like, why does it become their identity?
Yeah, that doesn't have to be. Yeah, right, exactly. Be gay, but that doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, so the other story we wanted to get to was a little more. Well, actually, Trash Supply wasn't terribly not local to us.
I don't even know what this other one is.
The tractor convoy.
Oh,
the tractor convoy of 2024.
That's right.
Was right here in Tennessee, over in Wilson County.
Yeah.
Basically, there was about 1,400 acres that's zoned like agricultural. The county commission was up for a vote to change that to industrial, light industrial, I believe. And it was a big out-of-state company, I believe. Investors were mainly out of Texas with connections to old Ross Perot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like one of his companies that was like involved. And the community rallied together. I think they said there were like 35 tractors. But
did they stop it?
Yeah. So they drove the tractors, I guess, to the planning commission meeting or whatever. And as of just in the last few days, 'cause I think they were like, and I'm sure they'll have to fight it again in the future.
Yeah.
But the county commission voted it down. Like, they're not going to let them.
Let me play the little clip you sent me of the guy talking.
I don't even remember what I sent, but yeah, it was.
He said the streets will be lined with bodies if they go through with this.
Oh yeah. They were interviewing the guy.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the last things I saw on it. This just happened a week ago today, as we're sitting here on Friday morning recording. Because one of the guys I follow on X, he was like live tweeting it, like giving updates, like, all right, this dude just, and the way he was coming at it definitely more from the farmer angle, but like it was kind of like the debate last night. It was just a bloodbath. Like every farmer that came up there to talk, like, had this heartfelt story, and everybody was cheering them on. And like the CEO guy, and he's like, these dudes aren't even from here. They just got off an airplane in Nashville and drove in, and like they were like misspeaking on things. Like, he's like, oh yeah, it's like,
I have to look that up.
It's going crazy. Like, everybody's, they're dang near like just booing these guys off the stage, and every time another little farm wife, gets up there and talks, or everybody just cheers. And
here he is.
So convoy got it done.
Yes, this is one of them interviewing one of the farmers.
Farmer that did an interview.
Well, none of us are professional protesters. We're farmers in the Tucker's Crossroads community. There's a development that's proposed on over 1,400 acres of farmland in our community, and we're against that. We are awfully proud of our community. We want it to stay the way it is, and we actually feel that there's enough industry in Tucker's Crossroads, and that's the agriculture industry, and we care about our way of life out there.
I like that. I actually really appreciated him saying we have enough industry, it's the agriculture industry, because there is a lot of people that see like these places with big vast fields and they're like, man, this place really needs some industry. And it's like, well, there is industry, and it is the ag industry. And people think like if they think that's low brow, a lot of these big farm tracks on this, you'll see, man, when I was driving home that one day during planting season, there was 6 8R tractors parked in this one field. You want to talk about money of an industry? You got 6 tractors. Each one of them was $525,000 a piece out there. So it's not like a little diddly or piddly little operation out here. Like, there is big industry, and that's ag.
Well, that's a lot of people hired to run those machines too.
Yep, to make them. But did you read the comments on that?
I didn't.
All right, so the comments are really interesting. You got people that staunchly support it, and this actually made me want to go, because I've mentioned before the land that I've lost to solar panels. I've lost 300 acres that I was leasing to solar panels over the last 2 years or 3 years now. And there is an area in Millington, you can drive on Armour Road. If you drive there right now, you'll see a lot of green fields that have just not been planted, and some of them are grown up. And it's over 1,000 acres out there. It's probably, they've bought probably 1,200 or 15, maybe even more than that. I know there's another one over like on Singleton Parkway. It may be 2,000 acres that they've gotten. And it's these companies that have come in. Silicon Ranch is the one that I have dealt with them, because I leased one farm from them last year. I was trying like hell to lease it again this year. They wouldn't let me. Nothing's out there. But they're not from here. What ruffles my feathers even more, Phil Bredesen is one of the guys involved.
One investors.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that's a conflict of interest to me, that he's involved in this, because they got to go through the zoning process and all that. I'm like, that feels kind of dirty to me. But I have thought, I'm like, man, I wish there was a way, because the county does not want it. Like, the zoning commission actually they put a moratorium in place that stopped them from being able to build the solar panels, but it's like a 180-day moratorium. And these companies, they have literally lawyers on staff, and so they're constantly figuring out how they can skirt these regulations, how they can get around them. And one thing they're trying to do, because they want to also maintain their greenbelt status, because some of them are trying to, some of the cities are making these basically setting taxes that are so high on this kind of a thing that it'll deter them from wanting to do this. Well, they're trying to find ways to make it a solar farm, and they're going to put regenerative sheep on there. That's what they call it, regenerative sheep farming. They'll sow some grasses around the solar panels. They'll have all the panels put out. They're going to have grass in between, and they're going to let sheep graze it. And it's just, that's their way of trying to be like, well, we're green. It's like they can still
be classified as ag.
Yes. And so they're trying to maintain the greenbelt status. But now the comment stuff, there was people that were for it, but then there were several people that are like, man, you don't need to start telling people what they can and can't do with their land. And some people even mentioned, they were like, well, they should have bought it. Well, that's not always the option, because these companies are coming in and they're paying $10, $12, $15, $20,000 an acre, and you just can't.
Well, and sometimes it's not even a fair comparison, because, and they're also getting all this government money for these programs. So it's like, yeah, that they can afford to overpay, because it's all it's all a propped up industry. It's all propped up by these tax breaks and kind of BS that, because otherwise this wouldn't even be profitable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I have kind of mixed feelings on that too, but yeah.
Well, that's where I'm like, man, you can sell the land to anyone. That doesn't mean that the zoning committee has to approve, and that should fall the buyer. That's kind of due diligence on his part. Like, figure out, all right, if I buy this, is the zoning committee going to let me do what I want to do? It'd be like if I was going to go buy, if there was a lot available in the heart of Munford at the square, and it's 5 acres, or not even, no, an acre. I mean, like right there in town. And I'm like, I really think I'd like to put in a hog farm, a 1 acre hog farm. I'm going to put 20 hogs on 1 acre right here in the heart of downtown Munford. We got our grocery store here in this building here or whatever. I'm going to just stick it right here. Really, that's the kind of thing where a zoning committee would be like, well, we really don't want that right here. Yeah. Like, and that's, to me, that's like your due diligence as a buyer is to know, all right, if I buy this with that intention, is this actually going to happen? And if they already know, like if the zoning committee would be like, we don't want solar farms here, we don't want the panels, and kind of put that down, then the buyers that would come in are not going to buy anyways. Because they're like, well,
I don't know what the perfect answer to that is, because, I don't know. I feel like if I woke up tomorrow and wanted to put solar panels on one of the properties I own, I'd be pissed off if somebody told me I couldn't do it.
I know. Well, that's what we've talked about.
I know my neighbors, like, I'll tell you this, like if one of my neighbors all of a sudden wanted to put up solar panels today, that'd piss me off. They're like, I don't want to look at those ugly ass things. Like, I want to look out there across, the woods and the, fields, pasture, or whatever. Because nobody wants to see them. And then you do worry, because it's the whole, goes back to, well, like some of the tillage practices and whatnot. You should be able to till if you want to or whatever.
Yep.
But are you doing irreparable damage to the land that's going to last, generations beyond, our time here on Earth? I don't know. I feel like with some of these solar panels, I'm not an expert or an engineer, but I think they've got a whole lot of concrete out there that those things are set in. And like, what would even be the process if that whole bubble burst? Like, I think there's a very real chance of it doing it. If you had 1,000 acres of solar panels, what would the cost be to clean all that out and return that land to production agriculture? Like, would it even, it'd probably be cost prohibitive.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It just becomes a wasteland. It's like, which is crazy because even like our landfills, like they've got, regulations in place where they return that back to, production or whatever, and do a green space after they've, done all they can with the garbage. More than I ever realized. I was talking to a guy about it not too long ago that works kind of in that area. Like, oh wow, I'm not surprised they have to do all that stuff. He's like, oh yeah, it's very elaborate how we have to fix it after.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know. I'd like to hear some of y'all's thoughts. Comment on the video there. Let us know. I mean, what do y'all think? Should the zoning committee not allow it? Because again, it's tough because we've also we hate the government.
Because you don't want to, like in this instance, we're like, hell yeah, zoning commission, stop them from doing that, stop them from doing the solar panel, stop them from building the industrial park. But if they can do that to them,
well, stop. And that was one of the guys.
This is an agriculture, good example, like your hog farm. All right, this is already zoned agriculture. But let's say somebody did want to come in and put in a hog farm. And but it's really close to some houses or whatever. Like, all right, do you want them to stop him? Just because they stopped the other? Should they stop the hog farm? Obviously we need hog farms. I'm going to go home and eat some bacon here in just a little while.
Well, that was what one guy commented, and he was like, I'm a farmer. And he was like, and I don't support them, like, protesting this. Because he was like, what's the ramifications of this on the farm? That's going to happen to us as farmers.
We're cheering this decision, but if they're powerful enough to do that, then what's to keep them from one day showing up and saying,
you don't need to use that. You know, like,
you shouldn't use a tractor with a diesel engine. You know?
And that was what he even mentioned that. He said, we all use tractors that burn diesel. He said, what's to stop these super rich, powerful people from being like, all right, well, you going to stop us from doing that? Well, by God, we're going to stop you from being able to use your damn diesel motors and go after. So comment below on the video, comment on Spotify. You can comment on Spotify to us. Let us know what you think about that. By the way, the giveaway is still rocking and rolling. We've had a lot of people enter, so you need to get in there and enter.
I actually, because we're not sure what else going to be in the prize pack. I briefly, like kind of in passing, discussed a T-shirt idea with a guy, a local guy that I didn't really so much discuss the T-shirt, but I was like, I knew he made shirts. Like you make them. He's like, oh yeah, I'll make shirts. I'm like, all right, I need to get with you on a design. So we kind of got one in the works. Very early stages of that, but of course it's already 6:15. I got to get out of here in a minute. But do a quick breakdown what you thought of the debate, the presidential debate.
Yeah, I mean it literally went how I expected. I'll tell you what I wish would have happened. And I saw a lot of people say that they're like, my expectations were low for Biden, especially, and some people were like, but damn. I didn't watch much of it, but he bumbled and mumbled and stumbled around. Like it was like, okay, that's they had him a little bit hopped up on amphetamines. Yeah,
I'm sure.
He'd open his eyes real wide and look, which it did trip me out because at one point he said something.
He said there was a few clips of some people are being raped by their brothers and sisters, by their family, their brothers, their sisters.
Well,
somebody pointed out like maybe they're talking about his family.
Yes. Well, he made some remark at one point, and it made no sense. And the CNN dude goes, "All right, Mr. President, President Trump, what do you your time to respond?" And Trump goes, "I have no idea what he just said, and I don't think he does either."
Yeah, that was a popular one.
Just tripped me out.
I
wish Trump. Well, I tell you what, I wish he'd have done. I wish Trump would have just left the mudslinging out, and I wish that he would have just legitimately answered the questions that they would ask. Like when they were like, how are you going to try to fix the crisis at the border? Like I wish he'd have just like, man, let Biden make himself look like a fool. Because he did that.
And I thought he did that for the most part. And I didn't watch the whole thing.
By the time I came into it late, and at that point, at one point they literally were arguing about who's a better golfer.
Well, and I saw the clips about that.
I quit watching it, and when they got to the golf, and like they started, because he was like, I have an 8 handicap. You can't even carry your own bag. And I was like, all right, well, I just turned it off.
Well, and I don't know the history of all the debates. This is a lot earlier than they usually start debating. And some people had pointed out that they wanted to go ahead and do that, the Democratic Party, which is the media and everybody.
So they can see that Biden's not capable.
So, yeah, I guess one or two things kind of, maybe he comes out there and does really good, and okay, whatever, he did good. Or if he is as bad as he was and as bad as they were afraid he could be, it would give them the leeway to now say, all right, we got to replace him.
Yeah.
A lot of people are commenting. They're like, Gavin Newsom watching this right now. And it's like him sitting there smiling. And like,
gosh, man, that would be horrible.
I mean, anybody would be, because I go back to take the politics out of it. Like, he's not electable. Like, you can't, with a functioning brain, even if he had my politics, I would say, like, no, we can't have him. Like, he just can't do it.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically.
He's just not there. Yep.
So, Newsom would be more electable than Biden just based on that.
Ooh, but he's awful.
But it's like, man, but then when you get into politics, like, whoa, like, my God, do they really not have anybody on deck that would be any better than that? I've seen Michelle thrown out there.
Yeah, Michael, Big Mike.
Somebody said Hillary's been making more public appearances here lately, like hoping like maybe they could shove her in there.
I don't think Hillary is...
Probably in her mind, she thinks she...
Oh, well, yeah, hell yeah, she still thinks she's the first female president in her mind.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. No, it went how I expected. Yeah, Biden sounded like a dude that needs to be in an elder home, like a nursing home. And Trump was way more, I mean, he's cognitively there. And people can be like, he's an idiot or whatever, but it's like Trump was there. Biden, I mean, he's
And Trump, I guess I was pleasantly surprised. And maybe that the whole way they did the microphones, it was like I felt like he sat there and
it wasn't a lot of talking over.
Yeah, he was calm, like especially early going, like he was just discussing the talking points. I don't know, but anyway, that's enough on the debate, I'm sure. But yeah, I think a lot of the comments even coming from like the left-wing media were like, ooh, this is bad.
Yeah.
And so they were like, yeah, that's pretty telling when you have these sources that will defend Biden to the grave. They're like, okay, yeah, well, what they were kind of planting the seed of, we're going to have to
get somebody else. But what frustrates me with that, I'm like, did it literally take this to know? I mean, you can see the guy like...
Some of the conservative people were pointing that out online, like, have y'all had your eyes closed for the last 3.5 years? Like, what have you been doing? Like, this has been every day. Every time he makes a public appearance, it's this bad or worse a lot of times. Because again, I'm 99.9% convinced they have a cocktail they give
juice him up
before these big events. But
it didn't work good last night. You got it.
Well, speaking of him, we need to see if we can get him on here as a guest.
That would be funny. We got to get some guests. We've been so busy here lately, I ain't even lined up anymore.
Yeah.
Start off with 2 words. Made in America.
2 words.
Oh, man.
You got a company?
I don't have a company.
All right, I've got.
I had ordered one, and it's been several weeks. So if it ever comes in, and it might be awesome, I will warn people that their shipping is very slow.
Okay. It's not exact.
No, it is not.
It's super fast. So I'm going to do something I was using the other day. Classic equine saddle pad. Just a lot of people call it just a blanket.
Yeah.
You put on under your saddle on the back of a horse. I was saddling or unsaddling a horse the other day, and I was taking the saddle pad off. I was like,
Made in USA.
Made in USA. And I've got several of their saddle pads. They make some other stuff too, kind of protective things like bell boots and whatnot, splint boots for horses. They make all kinds of tack basically.
Yeah.
But got one of their saddle pads. Go to your locally owned farm store and look for one. Avoid those big corporate chains. Classic Equine.
There you go. Must they got a website?
Oh, I'm sure they do, but of course they sell a lot of times through retailers.
Gotcha.
Which again, if you have a local farm store that sells saddles and tack and whatnot, I'm sure they probably carry them. But there's of course when you look them up online, they've got all the big online retailers carry them.
Yeah.
If you go to their website, which is conveniently classicequine.com.
Well, there you go. Keep it simple.
I don't know if you can order direct from them. Yeah, it looks like you can. Which, of course, it may then come through through retailers. But and again, like a lot of things, I don't know that 100% of their products are made in the USA, but definitely at least some of their saddle pads are.
Well, there you go, guys. Check them out. While you're doing that, go hop over to AgZaga. Check them out. See what they got.
The bayonet wrap's still a big one. I mean, that is always, when I say always, that they might get so big they've got other bread and butter later on, but that's the one thing that they're always going to have, and they're always going to beat anybody else's prices. Better variety, selection, whatever you want. Hey, next week's 4th of July. We got to talk about our recording schedule for next week.
Yeah, we do.
If you don't have it, you could probably order it. I bet if you ordered it today, I can't promise for them, you'd probably have it in time to get it here by next Wednesday, the day before the holiday, and you could be baling that red, white, and blue hay right there on the 4th of July.
Yep. There you go, guys. Use code TALKDIRT, all caps, all one word. Comment to us. Shoot us any questions you got. We love the questions and remarks. You can go to talkdirtpodcast.com, go to our contact page. Shoot us a message on there. Comment to us on YouTube or Spotify, whatever. And like I said, be sure to get in that giveaway because we're going to get some pretty badass stuff in there. So get in there and catch you next week.
Yep. See y'all then.